We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. The three Amigos pre-recorded tonight, I'm afraid, because I am unavailable to do a live, and it's only an hour long, but a few of you usual favourites, including these two gents, Steve and Mitch. Good evening, mate. Good evening, lads.
Good evening.
Good to see you. And let's talk about Sunderland Newcastle first, lads. FA Cup draw. We were talking about it last week. Every time we get asked the question, who would you like? Most of us say would love the Mackhams. We've got them. At the time of broadcasting, recording this broadcast, which is Thursday, it's been confirmed. It's going to be on the Saturday. It's going to be 12:45 kickoff. It's going to be on ITV. Rumours coming from Sunderland, and my friend Ted the Mackham, who does the North East Footy Brekkie show with us on Toon Radio, suggests we probably will get in the region of 4,800. That's what's coming out of Sunderland tonight. That may well or may well not have been confirmed by the time this goes out, but what a draw, Mitch. That's the draw we all wanted. And for me, from a football point of view, it's a chance for us to really show them what we've got, and give it to them with both barrels, I would say, on the pitch.
And a fabulous kick-off time for us here in Dubai.
Oh, is it really? What time? What time's that in Dubai?
We're 4 hours ahead at the minute.
Brilliant.
So it'll be 4:45 our time. So
20 Jaeger bombs in by then.
We've already had a chat. We're going to have a just chat with, because obviously we're off out tonight to watch the Everton game. We're going to have a chat with the bar about putting a brunch on before the game.
Lovely.
It'll sell out. I mean, we can take. We could do a Mackham themed brunch, couldn't we?
You could.
Blue drinks and cheesy chips and hula hoops and.
Good stuff. But yeah, what a game, mate.
But yeah, I mean, and yeah, it's been a long time coming. I still think it'll be a long time before we'll play them again in the league. The way the manager's just departed suggests all is not well behind the scenes there. And they, let's be honest, they would give their entire season up to beat us. And that's the measure, is we've got to go there. And actually going there probably works in our favour a little bit. We've shown at home against lower league teams in the cup we can fuck up sometimes. That'll keep on my mettle. We've got to go into their place, and it'll be full. The kind of atmosphere we've thrived on in Paris, the kind of atmosphere we've thrived on in Manchester. If we've got 4,800 of our lads and lasses there, that's fantastic, because it means they'll definitely be heard, and the presence will be felt. And I think that's important. And yes, it'd be an interesting yardstick. Going back to Skunkers times, I remember being told by one of the Mackhams on there, when we got relegated the first time, they would be light years ahead of we. Well, I think we'll see the measure of light years in January, won't we? You're on mute, Steve.
I just noticed there. Thank you, though, for telling us. Steve, this is going to be the first time Sunderland have had a full house since Beyonce was there.
You're right.
earlier this year. But it's a big fixture, Steve, and it's missed by me. I know some people would like to see Sunderland, in the conference. I'm not like that. I'd like to see them in the Premier League with us above them, beating them, home and away. But it's not meant to be unless they get a takeover of magnitude. I've got to agree with Mitch. I don't think we'll see them in the Premier League, but never say never. Things don't seem as well as they possibly could be at the Stadium of Light. But it's a draw we wanted, and we've got it. And we've got to make sure that those Geordie lads in the dressing room, the likes of Dan Burn, Mark Gillespie, Sean Longstaff, Elliot Anderson, all of these people, go around that dressing room, let everybody know exactly what this game means.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what, Steve, that list of Geordies getting longer and longer. We add Lewis Miley to that, Paul Dummett to the list. We've got a few adopted Geordies as well, don't forget. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the thing with it is, this is a game that's going to get talked about not for a week beforehand, but it's being talked about for a month beforehand. I mean, it's a month this weekend to come. The game's on the 6th of Jan. We've just passed the 6th of December. We're talking about it already. The players, can you imagine what the hysteria is going to be like by that week? It's just going to be monumental. And this is what it's all about. This is because people have slagged the Tyne side and we have side off for an awful long time when we've used those words, hotbeds of soccer, very historically. But this will show the world that, and the rest of the country when it comes to FA Cup time, because it's the best competition in the world as well, the oldest competition in the world. It'll show them what football passion's all about, black and white and red and white passion, because we're going to see it. There's no question about that. I'm with you, Steve. I always want them to be below her. I think we have missed the derbies. 4 or 5 years ago, I might have been different. I might have been wanting them to be sitting at the bottom, as you say, in the conference and never to be seen again. But in reality, you want to pit yourself against your local rivals because you always want to beat your local rivals. And this is our first opportunity in a number of years to do so. And just can't wait.
You're mute again, mate.
It's the room I'm in, and people keep coming in, so I'm just trying to keep the show flowing. But I'm on a hat trick now, lads. That's the main thing. The Northeast is going to get a chance to showcase football on that day as well. There's Middlesbrough are also on TV on that particular day, so it's a real showcase day for the Northeast. Which derby stands out for you, Mitch, in the history of Newcastle United and Sunderland derbies? Is the one that is your particular favourite? You don't have to have been there, but I guess for me, it is tied. I think the top one for me, if I was going to say away days, was Roker Park and Liam O'Brien's free kick. That was my particular favourite away day. I mean, I know we saw Ryan Taylor over the wall there as well, but that one for me is probably my top one. For the home performances, it's got to be 85 and Beardsley's hat-trick and Kevin Nolan's big day and Halloween and the 5-1. That's probably my three. But is there any ones that stand out? Same ones as me? Different ones?
Pretty similar. You could go with all of those. I did especially enjoy the 4-1 where Luque wrapped it up. Even more so because myself and my mate Frecky were in the home end. Sitting on my hands. And at the end, we're getting dogs abuse off the Geordies. What happened? Like, just sit. And I don't think we said anything because we managed to catch a bus to the Tyne tunnel, and we didn't say anything until we were through the Tyne tunnel, and then it just all ripped out, And another one that I was in the home end for with the 0-0 playoff game, which ended with Hardyman trying to kick Budgie's head off after missing a penalty, and that was a nasty game, that one.
I was there.
If that game had been played today, it would have ended 8-8. The type of challenges that were going in that day, it was brutal. And of course, we came away from that thinking we'd done the business, and then we got gubbed at St James's, which is one of the few games I can actually remember here in the rush of the net, as the ball nestled into it when Gabbiadini took it over the top of the keeper, because there was just silence in the Gallagher there. It was just silent for a second, But there's so many of them. I can remember many of them that revolve around incidents on the day. I was talking on a group chat that I'm on. It's funny, we were talking on one of the Matters group chats about the derby. We were talking about that trip there, when they made you get the bus and everybody had been in the Garter from 7:30 in the morning. And so by the time everybody was getting to Sunderland, because they took the most ridiculous route, everybody was dying for a pee. And those lads peeing in Coke cans and crisp packets and God knows what else. It was a nightmare trip. Meanwhile, on the NUFC Dubai group chat, we were talking about how to stop Carly from dancing on the tables. It's like, God, this is what derby days do to normally sensible human beings.
Steve, your favourite derby?
I think the 5-1 Kevin Nolan. That for me. And there was just something about that game. It was one of those everything clicked matches. From the moment the game kicked off right until the very end, there was something to talk about, something to get behind. The atmosphere in that game was second to none, I personally think. Away games, I think I would go for the Luke 4-1. Shearer's final goal. Hobbled off with an injury. I don't think we appreciated at the time how bad it was for Alan. But for him personally to score, if we take the injury away, for him to score what turned out to be his last goal for Newcastle in a derby, a penalty. He'd had missed a couple of penalties in derbies before. But other memorable games, you mentioned Beardsley. I was in Manchester when that game was on, and I remember sitting with Paddy Crerand after Manchester United had just been beaten at home, and him extolling the virtues of Peter Beardsley when the score came up on the TV that we'd won, and praising us to high heaven. Unfortunately, the bloke on the other side of the table wasn't so magnanimous. A certain Mr. Gordon Strachan, who my pal looked at him and said, it was my pal Chris, he said, apparently one of your lads missed a penalty. At which point Stratton got up, nearly knocked the table over and stormed off. And Paddy Crare and Chris looked and said, "What's up with him?" And he said, "He's what you lads in Newcastle would call a huffy little bugger." Meanwhile, in the far corner there was Brian Robson, Gordon McQueen, Arthur Albiston, you name it. The whole drinking squad were in the corner. And I just remember somebody else going over to Robbo and just saying, it's like that to him, asking if he was a Geordie or if he was a Mackham because he was from Chesley Street. All those little things that ring true, and then, of course, the one that you just mentioned, Mitch, the famous budgie one. I was on holiday in Greece, and I left the playoff semi. I left my money for the final with my pal. So assured was I that we were going to get through. We'd gone on holiday that week and we were coming back just before the final. So I left the money with him to make sure he could get me ticket. And I don't think I ever got that money back, to be perfectly honest.
You're worth a few quid now, bit of interest on that, Steve.
There would be, aye. But yeah, I mean, the thing with the derby games, there's always a memory, isn't there? There's always something. There's always an incident. Whether it's off the pitch or on the pitch, there's always something happens in between. I remember we went to a talking before one of the derby games in the midweek. Kevin Ball was one of the people on the panel. I think Ando was on. I forget who else. And it turned into a right ding dong match. It was in of all places, the Bridge Hotel in Newcastle, in the little room upstairs. And it had been put on by Radio Newcastle, I think, if I remember rightly. And I've got to admit, Bally did hold his own, in terms of the dogs abuse he was getting, the abuse he was throwing back, and he did take it all in good faith. And as everybody said, this is what comes out in the derby. It brings out all sorts of emotions. And that's why I'm saying, the build up now with a month to go, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. both on Tyne side and on Weir side, isn't it? It's already the topic of conversation. As soon as those figures came out to say that it was 12:45 kickoff and it was going to be on TV, I had people messaging saying where we're going to go and watch the game. Some of the lads from work, do you think we'll be able to get in? Do you think we'll be able to get tickets? What's the crack with tickets? How's it going to be? So it's buzzing already, Steve, and it's just going to be better.
Isn't it funny we get this fixture in this season when we've been talking about ticketing and everybody's been talking about loyalty points.
Yeah.
And this is actually the fixture that we're designed for.
That's right.
100%.
Blame.
This is actually the only reason they were ever brought in.
Yeah.
The Mackhams are billing it as the Northeast versus the Middle East. I've seen the T-shirt.
Yeah, I've seen the T-shirt.
That's
the only thing that's gone on longer than going on about the time we had Derby is Arsenal fans on Twitter talking about a certain goal. They've hit 32 days today. So they've gone past the lunar month and the calendar month. I wonder if they're going to make it to Christmas.
Happy anniversary to the Gooners for this.
We should start an advent calendar, shouldn't we? Just keep opening the window. Another picture of them.
Goal. What's behind the door today? What goal? What do you think? What do you think's behind door number 24? Oh, it's Jesus heading a goal against Arsenal.
Great
with
stuff.
In a slightly offside position.
As always, we've got a lot to get through on the Amigos, and only an hour to do it today. So it is time for tweet of the week. Once again, if anyone is offended by any of these tweets, then it's not my fault. It's not the channel's fault. It's not Mitch's fault. It's not Steve Hasty's fault. It is all done purely for entertainment. And here is the first picture of a door being sent. Apparently, that's the new Weight Watchers entrance.
Oh, God.
Thanks for that. What are you doing? I'm drawing the perfect woman, but you forgot the mouth. I said the perfect woman.
Oh.
Yes. Some of our female fans won't be happy with some of these. There's the latest from Jimmy. He says, tweet of the week. I think I'll order a pizza.
Definitely, Jimmy.
And this one from Stephen Kennedy, as do the waitresses, he says. Food that goes down easy. Titanic. And we've had a few of these picture postcard ones. He's got your eyes, as the child says, pink underwear.
Brilliant.
I love this, lads, and I can't remember this. When Swan Hunter was threatened with closure and everyone was uncertain on their jobs, a bus pulled up and a guy walked into reception. He said, "My name's Kevin Keegan. I brought the team down to cheer the lads up, if that's okay." Forgot all about it. One of those situations where KK just literally took the team bus from training down to Swan Hunters. Amazing, that. Great photograph. And a great memory. Soda Pop Kid, thanks for this. He says, someone thinks they're funny. Wet floor in a swimming pool.
Across the pool, brilliant.
And this one from Tim, he says, it's got to be one for a Friday night. And he says, yeah, well, I think you can read that, but it's from one of our feathered friends. Instant karma, he says. I'm not reading that one out. Dad, can I put the heating on? Yeah, but it's part of your Christmas present.
Ooh.
Be like that in a few houses, I bet. A few more Christmassy ones have been sent in. Remember, when wrapping a Hoover, leave it in the box.
Correct.
Very good picture, that. And this one, Elf on the Shelf, of course. Get lots of those. And this is a great one. Why so glum, Bing? My inflatable arse has gone flat. You can borrow my rubber bum pump. Rubber bum pump, rubber bum pump. Rubber bum pump, rubber bum pump, rubber bum pump. Very good, that. Walking in a winter wonderland there.
I like that one. Yeah.
And I'd sing you a Christmas song, but I hate carols, says Tiger King. A lot of women actually turn into good drivers. So if you're a good driver, watch out for turning women, said Stephen Kennedy.
Oh.
He's at it again, lad.
Yes.
And this one was good from 100% Mags. He says, how old is Stu Penman, guys? I've got him here in 1963 with his famous 3-1 on NUFC.com. That was very good, that, by the way. I missed that last week, but that was excellent. Thank you. David Last says, must have been some header.
Oh, fantastic.
It never gets too old, that photo, by the way, does it? This one. It's that one, yeah. Sorry. If only. I told you I had a few of these picture postcard ones. I remember the days when you could get a dozen pairs of knickers on that line, says the guy to his wife. I thought there would have been another response on there. And this one, I'll just use this to remove some excess saliva. Can't beat it. This man's been in the news this week. Never hold your hands behind your back when posing for a photo with the police.
True.
And can kestrels fly at night, lads? All kestrels maneuver in the dark.
Oh, man.
This was great from Lonzy Lons. There is only one Bruno, and it ain't you. Now get up, you melt.
That's brilliant, that.
It is. It's a good one. And this is a great one of those tweets about text messages. HMRC refund. You've got an outstanding tax refund of £328.36 from 2022 to 2023. Follow instructions to claim your money. Is this a scam? No. Swear on your mum's life. I swear, bro. And thanks to British Gas, never be afraid to cut someone off.
Oh.
And a little bit of a different take on Adele.
Oh, very clever.
And Soda Pop Kid again. There's our favorite environmentalist.
Greta.
Yeah. And this one sums up Twitter in general. Stephen forgets that he isn't on the internet. And breaking news: Wetherspoons have introduced lap dancers to increase Christmas turnover.
Oh, God.
And this was found on a toilet. Please don't flush. Getting tape measure. Possible world record. Yes, it's Star Wars one for the week. Only Star Wars fans will see it.
That is clever.
Very good. Very good, isn't it? And here's your Star Trek one for this week. Every morning I take my cow on a long walk through the local vineyard. You don't mean, yes, I heard it through the grapevine.
Oh, God.
And you wonder what all this injecting stuff into your lips is going to look like in the future, lads?
Seen a few of them in Dubai, didn't we?
And if you've got a problem, lads, do you have a problem with having baked beans touching your other stuff on your breakfast?
No, not me.
Some people get very particular. They don't like it to mix in with the tomato sauce.
Yep.
You make a break walk over your sausage.
So this is it. Alan Partridge's account on Twitter actually suggested you use the sausage, but there you go. A well-known hotel brand have decided to put that in on their plate so it keeps the beans away.
Right. Bean barrier.
Being very inventive, you could say. And name that tune, lads.
Little Donkey.
Thank you. Well done, Steve. How wise of you not to attempt a tune.
No.
And Glenn McCartney said this: when the Christmas lights go up in the house, it's time to remember the best reply to a tweet ever. Here's Jerry Adams from Sinn Féin. This house is like Santa's grotto. Takes half an hour to switch off fairy lights and assorted Yule illuminations. I feel like a Grinch now. To the reply, surely you know someone who can fit a timer. I don't think that was the real Jerry Adams. Suzanne Bell says, my front entrance is quite dog. What can I do to lighten it up and make it look more inviting? George Armour replied, shave it. And that was your winner this week. Two absolute belters to finish off with. Keep them coming. We'll love your tweets of the week. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, back to NUFC matters and football matters. David De Gea linked with Newcastle over the last few weeks because he's basically doing nothing. He's out of contract and he's a free agent. But Eddie Howe, in his press conference prior to the Everton game, said that they haven't been in contact with him or any other keeper and that they're quite happy with the two keepers they've got, namely our friend Loris Karius and, of course, Martin Dubravka, who is now in between the sticks at the time of pre-recording this show on Thursday. So, you know, are we happy with those two keepers for now? We've also got Mark Gillespie, Mitch. I still think it's an area we need to improve moving forward. But, you know, between now and that 4 months that Nick Pope's out, are you happy with that?
Long term, maybe, but it's the only area that we could really suffer another injury in. comfortably. And there's enough of our fan base have been moaning little bits here and there about Pope this and Pope that. So now you're going to get what you wanted. Let's say Dubravka in. The beauty of it is it's not like it's a change. It's somebody who's played with most of our back four before, if not on a regular basis. There'll be a little bit of reacquainting themselves for what he's comfortable to come for versus what Pope might be or not. The consensus is he's better with his feet than Pope, allegedly. I'm not convinced about that myself, but that's what I keep hearing people say. And I think we've got to trust in him and have some faith in him. We know he's a good keeper. We know on his day he's a top-class shot stopper and can do great things. And so we've got to be comfortable with someone who is Premiership experienced and good to go. It's not like we've got to reacquaint somebody who's barely played a minute with everyone. The way, for example, Karius, bless him, was chucked in at the deep end in a cup final, for example. But no, I'm comfortable with it. Yes, I think you're right. Going forward, I think it's an area we've got to look at to possibly give Pope a little more competition. But let's see. But I'm comfortable with Dubravka coming in. I don't have an issue with that one little bit.
Steve, Dubravka really just, I guess, upset quite a few people when he went to Manchester United, said what he said. I mean, he was trying to fit in with a new club. I genuinely don't think he said anything which really upset me. You know, he was going to Manchester United, which unfortunately is still classified as the biggest club in the world. We can't take away all their history. They had a pretty good run under Alex Ferguson. But ultimately, he was trying to, I don't know, ingratiate himself with the support, get himself into the club. Probably felt he was going to be there for the rest of his career. Didn't realise that, he'd been taken down there for whatever reason. Didn't get a look in, had to come back with his tail between his legs. But I think he served his penance. And there's one thing about Dubravka, he was a class keeper. He just unfortunately found himself out of favour with Eddie Howe for whatever reason. So now he's called upon. He'll be using this opportunity either to play his way into Eddie's plans and take that shirt, or play it to improve himself and to show that he's worth taking a gamble on if Newcastle want to still move him out at some point. So it's a win-win for Dubravka and for Newcastle, and obviously solves the problem. He is a good keeper. He's got a good kick on him, and perfect replacement for Nick Pope short term for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Fabian Shaw. I think Dubravka was a bit of a pawn in a game that was being played at Man United at the time. New manager comes in. There was a lot of talk about De Gea and about moving on. There was a lot of big conversations about his wage that he was on. He'd had a strange couple of seasons where he could play for 3 or 4 months and be absolutely outstanding, and then he would drop a rick. So he was getting a bit of stick from Man United fans, and then was still getting voted Player of the Year. I think it was, like I say, politics at play. I think Dubravka got caught in a bit of a trap in that respect. But now we've got a Martin Dubravka who, in my opinion, I was surprised that we went out and bought Pope, because I thought that's how good I thought Martin Dubravka was as a goalkeeper. So Dubravka coming back in to replace Pope through an injury isn't something that necessarily concerns me. In fact, I think that it certainly doesn't weaken us, put it that way. I think he is a very, very top class goalkeeper, and I think he's shown in the last 12 months nearly what a top pro he is. He's got his head down. He's worked solid. When he's been called upon, he's come in. He hasn't let us down. And in that respect, we've just got to turn around and go, just what you produced in the past when you've been our first choice goalkeeper. And it also means that again, Karius, he will step up to the plate as number 2. He'll be working his socks off. He'll be making sure that he's ready, not just willing and able, but ready should he be called upon if anything untoward does happen to Dubravka. What's going to be interesting as we move on in the League Cup, is Dubravka going to be our League Cup goalkeeper, or is it going to be Karius? That's an interesting say. I mean,
it's going to have to be Karius because he's going to have to get cup tied for a semi-final potentially.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where it's going to lead, and we could suddenly find that Karius plays in a cup final twice in 2 seasons for us if we make the League Cup again, which would be remarkable, wouldn't it? You wouldn't have put money on that at the start of this season. But getting back to Nick Pope, I mean, it looked an innocuous injury when he first went down. I was with Mitch in the bar watching it, along with Rich. And when he went down there and you saw the jaw, at first we thought he'd caught his knee, and then it was like, no, he didn't seem to be holding his knee at all. And when he sat himself up and went down again, and you saw the angle of the arm, you thought, oh. And then when you saw it in slow motion, the way that the arm was outstretched, the way that he landed, and the jarring that really, as you can see, the arm went in a totally unnatural motion up over, and it took the full weight on the inside of the arm. And it when you saw it in slow motion, you just thought, oh, that is nasty. And bearing in mind he's already had one shoulder injury, and this is an operation that's going to be doubly difficult to repair. Understand he's been in and had the operation already, which is good. They haven't hung around. They hung around for thinking that with Murphy and his dislocation that he would be okay. But I suppose with an outfield player you would do that. But with a goalkeeper where you're diving around and you're going down on your arm and on your shoulder, it shows you how a game can turn in an instant. A lot of us think that goalkeepers get protected too much. It's ironic this was an injury that's caused by a normal dive for a goalkeeper. Nobody around him. It wasn't a collision with anyone. Nobody was to blame. Purely an accident. One of those things that happens in football. But I just hope that he comes back. I hope we don't push him either. I don't think we will because of the two we've got. But what I would say is that Mitch is right. It probably means that Newcastle could potentially start to look at the goalkeeping position a little bit earlier than they might have, in terms of whether it's competition for Pope or whether it's even a replacement for Pope. Because if you're going in with a goalkeeper who's now had 2 severe shoulder injuries, and as a professional outfit, that you're going to be really, really questioning what is probably one of the most important positions in your team. But the one thing I haven't mentioned was bringing De Gea. I don't think it'll happen. I think that we've got able deputies in the 2 that we've mentioned, and a number 3 in Gillespie, Steve.
100%. Yeah. Okay. Halfway through the show, time for the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors: Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com. Easy contract, free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks again to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. If you'd like to order some, then give them a call on 01768 210 102. Go to the website, mrvickys.co.uk, or drop them an email, info@mrvickys.co.uk. A big thanks to United Group Travel. They're a family firm based in Morpeth with pickups throughout the northeast. No strangers on our tours, just people you haven't met yet. They've got a presence on Facebook and a website, unitedgrouptravel.com. If you want to make a booking, give them a call on 01670 632 460 or mobiles 0791 666 4174 0795 71 41654. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals, independent funeral directors. Let us look after you in your time of need. They're based on Old Durham Road in Gateshead, and you can contact them at their website, darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Email darren@darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk, or give them a call, 0191 478 2730. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And a big thanks to New Workwear. You can find them at newworkwear.com. If you want to help the channel, hit the thumb up to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and share to your other social media. You can also pay a one-off fee of £25 to To get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card, go to the website nufcmatters.com and click membership, or put your smartphone over this QR code. We also support the food bank on this channel. If you want to make some donations virtually, go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and make a donation today. We're also a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast providers. Just search NUFC Matters. I'm also a part of the Northeast Footy Brekkie Show. You can listen to that Monday to Friday, 7 till 9 at the toonuk.com. We've also got an event coming up next year. It's in January the 19th at the Tyneside Irish Centre. It's an evening with Nobby Solano. Tickets are available on Voucher for £20. Don't forget, Supermac and Gibbo do every pre-match at Louis Liquor Store. It's free entry, children welcome, and there is great food by Fed's Fried Chicken. They're usually on pre-match and sometimes post-match at Louis Liquor Store. Okay, time for Toon Lookalike. Just a short selection today, thanks to Tom for this one. Erling Haaland and Majin Buu, Superpowers Unite. He says, old photo of Haaland there. And this one, Oliver Kahn and a gorilla. Getting desperate with these, Tom. I had this one from Lockie. Rob Hannaway suggested this. The team that played today, he says, there's Bruno, Rashford, Maguire, and Onana. The Onana one's very similar. Even wears his hair the same. But yeah, very good. But something a bit different than that. This one, Mesut Ozil and Buster Keaton, which I'm sure we've had about 100 times before. Different photos, though. And Jimmy Moore sent this one, Toon Lookalike, James Hetfield and Rick James. Quite similar, Jimmy. Not the winner this week, though.
I thought that was Tina Turner, actually.
Tim Cairns, Garnacho and Skeleton Face.
That's good.
And this one from Mark Byers. He says, Wallsend Boys Club lad Steve Watson there. And who would have known that he would have gone on to become an actor in sitcom Friends?
Very
Pretty
clever.
good.
Yeah.
Well, Steve Hasty contribution this week comes from Stephen Kennedy.
Yeah. Never fails, does he? Never fails. He's turned into Frank.
This one from Jacob. Did you see Steve Wraith in Vikings?
Yeah, me.
Not bad. This is the winner this week, though. Thanks to Sam, Jamie Carragher, and Rob Lee.
Right.
I think it's just a facial expression there. But yeah, pretty good that. So that's your winner this week. Keep them coming in. Send the lookalikes in, and we will put them on the show. Now, because it's pre-recorded, we don't have our friend Toon Stato's basic build-up to the Spurs game of the weekend. And you've got to bear with us because we've recorded this on Thursday ahead of the Everton fixture. So injury-wise, we may be slightly out with this. But we do know that Newcastle take on Tottenham Hotspur 4:30 on Sunday. It's a live kickoff on Sky Sports. All the away ticket sections, all the way tickets have been sold. And the referee is Chris Kavanagh, which will be his third game of the season, looking after Newcastle United. There was a 1-0 home victory, of course, against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup and a 2-0 loss at Bournemouth. VAR, which is often switched off for Newcastle games, is Peter Banks. So that's all we know as we go into this. But we do have our friend, Scunny Mag Paul, giving us his little take on where you can go if you're going to London.
Hi guys, Paul here with your quick away guide for Spurs. For those of you driving in, there's car parks in the area. A lot of them are run by local schools. I like to support those normally, but these are £25 for a match day parking session, and I think that's a bit of a rip-off. There are other options, and up by the North Middlesex Hospital, there's some free street parking if you're lucky enough. If not, they've got parking spaces all around the hospital, and it'll set you back £5, which is a bargain for London. Your postcode for that is November 181 Quebec X-ray. For those coming in by train, London King's Cross is probably the station most of us will be coming into. A lot of people like to stay and have a drink in the pubs around there because it's less hassle. I know that's what we'll probably be doing. Make sure you leave plenty of time to head up to the ground. Once you're ready to leave King's Cross area, it's the Victoria line to Seven Sisters or Tottenham Hale. Seven Sisters is your better option, especially if you're running late, because you can jump on the 149 or 249 bus just outside the station. It runs every 3 minutes and drops you right outside the ground. It will be about a 25-minute walk from either of the tube stations up to the stadium. It's about 2.5 kilometres, which is about 1.5 miles. If you are heading straight up to the ground area, there are 3 pubs, and I'll list them in order from the tube station to nearest the ground. So first one you come to if you're walking from the tube up to the ground is the Elmhurst, postcode November 176 X-ray Echo, and the what 3 words is they value Bill. After that you've got the Antwerp Arms, November 178 Alpha Sierra, and the what 3 words is Alien Device River. And then finally, closest to the ground, you've got the Irish Centre, which is at November 178 Delta X-ray, and the what 3 words is Digits Ashes Prime. Once you are heading up to the ground, the away section is on the northeast corner. We'll be housed in the lower tier on the corner of the pitch, and your what 3 words for the away entrance is Dice Shaped Usage. That's all from me. Enjoy the game.
Got to be my favourite one this week, dice-shaped usage.
Dice-shaped prediction.
Dice-shaped prediction, I like it. Yeah, look, so obviously slight disadvantage. We're pre-recording this before the Everton game, so we don't know what the result was on Thursday. But look, Newcastle Spurs, difficult game, difficult away opposition. They'll be chomping at the bit. They've been up at that top end of the table for the majority of the season. A couple of setbacks in recent weeks, Mitch. But Newcastle hoping, I guess, to stay in touch with those teams at the top. They're going to need to take something at Tottenham.
Yeah, they need to take something from Tottenham, but obviously they'll be on the back of a 1-0 win at Everton tonight, with Anthony Gordon tucking in the winner on the 73rd minute. So, let's see how we'll go with that one. Look, going to Spurs is never an easy place to go, but it's one that we seem to enjoy. I remember we're going there at times where we were given no chance at all. Postecoglou's got them playing decent football, but they've not had the hardest run of fixtures either. They're now whinging about injuries. Well, is this now the injury derby? They've got nothing like the problems we've got, and they seem to be given a bit of grace for that. For all they're organised, they're there to be got at, and I don't think they'll enjoy our style of play. They remind me a little bit of the way both PSG and then just basically how they wanted to play the ball around at the back and they then couldn't cope with the press. And I think it's very much the same with Tottenham. I think they'll want to do the same thing, and I think we can get on top of them early. They're there to be got at. Shouldn't have any fear. We're going into a state-of-the-art stadium, which is something people have been talking about all week. And it's supposedly a very, very good playing surface. And again, that'll suit us and the way we play, particularly when Bruno's bossing the midfield. That the way we ping that ball around and the high tempo that we use and some of those clever little dink passes should work in my favour.
Yeah, Steve, difficult to talk about a game. As I say, we don't know what the situation is. Slight disadvantage. But let's just say that we come through tonight's game unscathed with a point or 3 points in the bag. Sets us up nicely for that game, and no more injuries, and potentially 1 or 2 players, hopefully, in with a reckoning of at least featuring on the bench, potentially Botman or Wilson or Emil Kraft. The more the merrier. But yeah, this game, and since the move to this new ground has been a happy hunting ground for Newcastle, especially Joe Linton. Yeah, he likes the game against Spurs, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, absolutely. State-of-the-art ground, Mitch says, yeah, and you say that the new stadium that they've got, 25 minutes from the nearest railway station. It's that state-of-the-art. This is, we're talking about moving out of city centre. They stayed where they were, but obviously it's London, but there's nothing you can do about it. But you'd think that the transport system would be a little bit better than just getting a bus every 3 minutes up to a ground, along with the other 60-odd thousand people, or parking in somewhere where it's going to cost you 25 notes. Absolutely shocking. But yeah, happy hunting ground for Joe Linton. Seems to play very, very well there. Seems to enjoy it. Seems to like it. But so do Newcastle at the moment. You know, they seem to be enjoying their football. And as Mitch says, we carry on the high pressing game that we showed. The way we played against Chelsea, I thought, was outstanding. The Manchester United game was probably one of the best pressing games you'll see. That's a textbook, and that's a sort of style of football that in years to come, coaches will be showing example to their players and saying, look, what, you know, when the ball comes down the left, this is how you press. When you're trying to feed, the goalkeeper's trying to feed out from the right. Look at the angles that you need to run in on. You don't, as a centre forward, you don't run straight onto a keeper and you give them the options of left or right. You run from an angle, so you're forced them to go only one way. All of those little tricks that were shown. Then you see how you get one midfielder to drop off, two to push on. The goalkeeper drops the ball into the hole, and that midfielder, in this case, Lewis Miley, regularly picking the ball up and then just feeding it and filtering it back in. Everything about that game was brilliant. And I think, you know, if we can carry on the same foot on Sunday against a Spurs team who apparently under Postecoglou like to play attacking football, that he's being praised to the hilt. Although you did mention something there, Mitch, about their supporters, that they do have a bit of a critical viewpoint, don't they, at times on everything, you know, and at the moment they're criticising them because of the gun-ho way that they're playing. Only a couple of weeks ago they were complaining that they weren't scoring goals. Now that it's the gun-ho way. I've read this, I'll just read this out to you. This was Postecoglou when he was asked about fans disagreeing with his tactics. He goes, that's what we love about the game, mate. He loves that word, doesn't he, mate? Typical Aussie. He goes, I love it when you see two blokes arguing about football. You think they're going to kill each other. And then you go the next day and they're sitting at the same table arguing again. and that's what football's about, isn't it? It's all about opinions. It's all about living for the moment and then waiting for the next moment, living for one game, waiting for the next game, analysing, doing your little postmortems, and then just looking forward to what's next to come. And I think that's the way that Newcastle fans are looking at every game now. You know, there's very little post-mortem stuff. It's all praise and it's all, won't we fantastic? And then we've got the build-up. I mean, I think it's a bit different to just having a preview. Ours is a build-up with Newcastle fans at the moment because we're building ourselves up again. In the same way as the players are, because they're not getting much of a break, not much of a rest. You know, you listen to Jurgen Klopp with his interview on Wednesday night where he was asked about another 12:45 kickoff, and you see him just completely blow his top. You know, and I thought the reporter was asking a fairly decent question. That shows you the pressure that these guys are under at that level. And Postecoglou seems to be taking it all in his stride in a very, very sensible and calm and measured way, rather like Eddie Howe, who no matter what they try and throw at him, whether it's the press or opposition managers, is just showing dignity and even more dignity, no matter what gets thrown at him. So I think it's going to be a fascinating dugout. They'll probably end up in fisticuffs. The two of them will get chinning each other and they'll both get 3-match bans.
Okay, what's the dice say, Mitch?
The dice says... No. 1-1.
Oh,
okay, 1-1. What do you say, Mitch?
Odd goal and 3 to us, 2-1.
2-1. Okay, Steve.
That's what I was going to say, and that's what
you can.
I am. No, don't worry. I'm still going to say it because I think it's going to be one of those games. I think it's going to be it's going to be tight. It's going to be close. And I think that, you know, like I said, if we can carry on playing in the manner that we are doing it at the moment, then I have no fears of us coming away with 3 points. And that's what it's all about: picking up points on the road. I'd be delighted if it's 1, but I think we can on this one get 3 points, setting up nicely for the following week when we have the little matter of Milan and then Fulham.
I'm going to go for a 3-2. I think the Newcastle game, it's a gung-ho game with goals at either end. I think, 3-2. But I fancy Newcastle to win that. And if we're going to go for Mystic Meg, what do you think the Everton game would have been? I'm going to go 2-0 and Anthony Gordon to get one of those goals at least. Steve, what would you have said if you'd had the chance to predict the Everton game?
I was going to say 1-1. I thought might pick up a point. Just the way that they are pulling themselves around that bear pit of an atmosphere. Although having said that, it was a bear pit last season and it was 4-1. So, but no, I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
All right, it'll be interesting. Just remember that we didn't know beforehand,
No, exactly.
So it was a pure guess. Okay, DI Met. The day I'm at, we'll ask you to send in photographs of you meeting somebody from Newcastle United, past or present. Thanks to Dougie Morris, big fan of the show. He says, one for my memories at the Stack. He says, great podcast again, lads. Thanks a lot. And it's Matty Longstaff at the Stack with Dougie Morris. So thanks for sending that in, mate. If you've got a photograph of yourself with somebody from Newcastle United, past or present, send it in, and it gives us an opportunity to pay this lovely bit of music. Okay, just under 10 minutes left. Just want to talk about the fan survey, Mitch, which came out to supporters, and most of us will have got it and filled it in. I thought it was very comprehensive. I saw once again the fallout on social media about such a survey being sent out, and the reasons and why, and what's those questions about, and this is that, and just a typical meltdown on social media. I filled it in. That's all I did. And we asked Newcastle United to communicate with us, and they are communicating with us, and they're asking us the questions. And there's nothing more I'd love to be able to do than spend, 12 grand on a tunnel seat and be able to see the players in the tunnel and take somebody along as a guest who maybe doesn't get the opportunity to go and sample the atmosphere from there. But I'm afraid I can't afford that. And, that's just the way it is. But I certainly don't disagree with, say, 60 seats being given to people who can afford it, to plough that into our football club, to up the financial fair play, commercial revenue, to help us buy more players, to help us dominate football for the next 25, 30 years and beyond. The new stadium situation is something which will hang over us over the course of the next few years, because it won't be built overnight. And I'm sure that whatever they decide to do, whether they decide to extend short term and then build a new stadium, or whether they decide to build a new stadium and not extend, I'm afraid the survey is not going to play a full part. They've communicated with us, they've ticked the box, but ultimately they'll do what they want to do and what's right for the football club, and they'll do what they're allowed to do, because ultimately, there's nothing to say that the NIMBYs won't come straight back out and say, well, if you're planning on building this on this bit of land, we're going to object. So lots of things to consider, lots of things to happen. I think, personal opinion, I love the ground to stay in the city centre. I'd love for it to stay on its original plot. I'm not sure that's possible, but I've just got to have to go with what the club say, and ultimately, I'm not going to have an option. And if the time comes that I get priced out of St James's because I can't afford to go, then I'll just have to accept. I'm afraid that some things are more important than football. I'll just have to watch it on the telly with millions of other people around the world. But for me, we wanted this. We've got it. We've just got to get on with it. And I do not understand why people are kicking up with fuss and going mental about it.
It's classic, isn't it? I mean, we want communication, but not that kind of communication. We want to be asked the hard questions, but not those hard questions. Even if you think some of it wasn't relevant to you, it is. They want to gauge, where can we go with ticket prices? Where can we go with packages? What can we do with what we have? You can only pay with the cup you've got. At the end of the day, we can talk about extensions. Nearly every extension option is being looked at over time, and more possibles are still, to be further discussed. Keeping the ground in and around the current location for me would be great. But as you all know, and I've said many a time on here, I've made my peace with the fact that at some stage in the future, if we really want to go stellar, I don't think we can do it with St James's Park where it is and in the way it is. Now, again, there's solutions potentially there, but that then needs everybody on board. We are in a very different time, though. This isn't the 1990s where the council held a lot of the power. The council's nearly bloody bankrupt. They're desperate for money, and money talks, and Newcastle United have lots of it. And I think that could sway many a planning decision in the right direction for us. The club need to ask difficult questions. And anybody who's answered, no, I can't afford that, then that answer counts. And it matters, and they need to hear that. They're not talking about taking away the soul of the club, and they're not talking about taking away the working class game. What they're talking about is where can we expand this? What is the appetite for that expansion, and who can actually afford that expansion? And this is only one very small part of what I think will be more to come. I totally understand why some people aren't happy with the survey. I totally understand why people feel that it might not be relevant to them. But any answer you give in that survey is relevant. And really important that if you're not happy with it, you say so. This is your opportunity to. This is what you've asked for. So grab it with both hands. Very interesting to see certain people complaining about a survey when they use surveys exclusively within what they do. Was it perhaps because they weren't involved with this survey? I just don't know. It seemed a strange reaction. I hate read between the lines about what I'm saying there. And it's really difficult that we've asked for communication. We've been given more communication, and I understand why some people feel like it's lip service. Mm-hmm. And I would say at the club right now, if I was face to face with Darren Eales and Peter Silverstone, look, if you know what you want to do, just do it and tell them what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then get people on board from that point. Because if you approach it right, you will. Go back to how John Hall put his proposals forward. Yes, there were some people who weren't happy about quote unquote leaving St James's Park, even though it was 800 metres up the road or whatever. You'll not please everyone. You won't. You just can't. And again, like with the ticketing and like many other things, when you try to please everybody, you then fail everybody. So if you know what you want to do now, why don't you just put a plan together about how you're going to tell them? And then let's take it from there. Will it become easier once the fans advisory board is convened? Don't know. I don't think so either. Steve, you're shaking your head then. I don't think so either. I think the makeup of that is potentially not necessarily helpful for the ordinary fan. That's just, again, just a personal opinion on it, but let's see where that goes. And so, I can see why people are upset about it. I don't think there's any need to be terribly upset about it. They're not suddenly going to start ripping out seats and charging you 12 grand for your seat next season. That's not coming that quick. But they do need to have some sort of barometer of where they can go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Steve, we'll give you the final word on this before we finish tonight. Sorry, folks, it is, if you're just tuning in, a shorter show tonight, and it's pre-recorded because we couldn't do a live, or I couldn't do a live. So, yeah, Steve, fan survey out this week, thoughts and what Mitch just said.
Well, it's interesting that Mitch talking there and listening to that. And what I would say is that now that the survey is out, that's now that the club's released the survey, and now that they're gathering the data, and they're now got to very cleverly extrapolate all of that and to come up with some sort of consensus. It's one of the worst things you can do is to use that data and then just use that as the mechanism and the benchmark or whatever. because there's so much within that. There's so much hidden. There's so much more that once you open that can of worms, there's so much more that you need to then drill into and dig down to get the true strength of feeling. I can understand why they've done it, as you say, identifying who can afford a 12 grand. Let's face it, most people can't. The average man in the street can't afford a 12 grand season ticket. There will be one or two out there that can. It's more geared to corporate and business and people with companies and writing these things off against tax and all that type of thing. Football's moving on, but it's moving on in a different way. It's not that long ago we were talking about and saying that, you know what, you can actually get away without charging a penny to fans, just virtually giving them away tickets away for free. Now all of a sudden we've gone full Celtic and we're now talking about 75, 85, 100 quid, 120 quid tickets for a game and upwards. It was 2 seasons ago during COVID, and before that we were saying the amount of money that you're getting in TV revenue, the percentage that comes from fans is incidental. We're bringing in attendance money less than it's costing to sign a striker, a 25 million pound striker at that, who would probably be sitting on the bench, although he wouldn't at Newcastle. He's probably straight into the first team because of our injuries. But now that they're talking, they've got to continue that dialogue. They've got to really, really get down to the nitty gritty. It's all well and good saying, would you do this? Would you be interested in that? And just taking a year or a nay. I think we now need to have an awful lot more conversation with sensible people who can say yes. The bit that's always around a survey like that is the but. What about the but? The questions that come from an answer, the questions that come from a question, the follow-ups. The follow-up to an answer is always the most interesting part sometimes of an answer. When it's couched in sort of 1 or 2 word answers, it's when you start to drill down and you start to get to the real hub of the problem. And there will be problems at Newcastle if they carry on in this manner. There's no doubt about that. You can just tell that by the strength of feeling that came out in some parts because it was a survey, and they don't agree with the survey, and then other parts because some of the points within the survey either didn't relate, don't relate, won't relate, can't relate to, or don't understand the purpose of. So now that they've done it, they've got to carry on with it. And there's going to be bones of contention right the way through, Steve. I personally think that they'd be far better looking at ways that they can extend St James's Park, clever ways that can extend it. Because I think if you are talking about a new state-of-the-art stadium, I think you're looking 8 to 10 years into the future. By the time you get involved with all of the consultations that you need with councils, the identifying the land, the infrastructure that goes around it, etc., etc. So in the interim, I think they should be looking at ways of getting 65 plus in, but also accommodating some of those 12,000 pound seats that they're talking about, some of the more corporate areas. There are clever ways of putting corporate in without affecting anything to do with individual fans. We talked about on our little group, there could be a little mini tower block built in the corner of the Gallagher, and then in both corners, like to have some of the grounds in Spain where they have a tower block. I've seen it done at the Grand Prix. They have it at Silverstone. I've been in one of the boxes that they have at Silverstone, where you're overlooking the racetrack, and you're talking about there £12,000 a head on the day. With luxury like you've never experienced in your life before, and there's no reason why you couldn't do that. I think that there's grounds in South America that do very, very similar. So if the corporate is important to them, if that's where the additional revenue is going to come from, because I don't think there's much additional revenue that you can squeeze out of the fans at the moment, not the day-to-day fans, the run-of-the-mill fans, the normal fans like ourselves, fans who work on a budget, fans who live on a budget, and fans who are, let's face it, and we've heard it many, many, many times mentioned by the club, the die-hard fans, the salt of the earth, the fans that make so much of the atmosphere at St James's Park. So they've got to find a happy medium. And if the happy medium comes from starting surveys and starting the dialogue, who are they then going to talk to, and how are they going to carry on that dialogue? It has to be with the season ticket holders. It has to be with that whole cohort. It can't be with 12 angry men and women in a room. It can't be with a fans advisory group who they decided are representative of the fan base. It can't be that. It's got to be, because it affects so many people, it's got to be right. Yeah,
rank and file.
That's a great phrase, Steve. Rank and file. What a way to end the show.
And file. I also get why people were upset. They're asking questions about £12,000 season tickets, where we've got a food bank stand outside the ground at every game. Yeah. It does feel a little bit crass. It does feel a little bit inelegant.
Yeah.
But again, I understand why they've got to ask the questions too.
Great way to end the show, as you say, Steve. Sorry it's a shorter one, folks, but at least we gave you something of the Amigos this week. Back, normal service resumed next week. But for now, thanks to Steve, thanks to Mitch, thanks to you, thanks to all the mods, and we will see you next week. Have a good weekend. Take care, lads.
Everyone.